Have you ever given your all to a woman, time, money, emotions only, to hear the cold words? "We're just friends"? That sting isn't just about rejection. It's about misunderstanding how attraction truly works. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Today, let's reshape the way you think about romance. A young man, Jose, spent $3,000 on a tropical trip for a woman he adored. He thought this was his grand gesture, his Hollywood moment. But while he sat alone in the hotel room, she kissed another man she had met only minutes earlier. Why? Because romance without attraction is like pouring water on dry sand, disappears without leaving a mark. Most men repeat this mistake. They believe what movies teach, that flowers, poems, or expensive dinners will unlock her heart. But Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you lead with neediness, when you give romance too soon, you hand away your power. Think of Miguel, another man who showered a classmate with poems and gifts. 6 months later, she chose a man who barely remembered her birthday. The lesson? The female mind values what is earned, not what is handed out cheaply. A Rolex on the first date doesn't impress, it raises suspicion. Just like premature romance, it feels desperate, not desirable. Attraction is not logical. It is emotional, sparked by mystery, by uncertainty, by a man who doesn't beg for validation. Seneca warned, he suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. By rushing romance, men destroy the very tension that fuels desire. Romance is not the enemy. The problem is timing. Romance after desire has been built becomes powerful. But romance before attraction is poison. Jose bought intimacy she had never earned. Miguel gave devotion without being chosen. And countless men confess love too early, killing the spark before it has a chance to grow. In truth, women don't give clear signals. They give opportunities. A quiet moment alone, a lingering touch, a curious message late at night. The man who waits for certainty loses. The man who acts with calm strength creates attraction. Like a game that unlocks levels one by one, attraction deepens only when it requires effort. When she feels she is winning, you not the other way around. So, when does romance truly work? When it comes as a reward, not as a bribe. When it springs from abundance, not desperation. Romance, used at the right time, becomes unforgettable. Used too soon, it makes you invisible. Remember, attraction is not built by words or gestures alone. It's built by presence, by tension, by a man who stands firm in his value. As the Stoics teach us, control what is in your power, your actions, your discipline, your frame. Let go of the rest. Romance only becomes powerful when built on a foundation of attraction. Without that base, every gesture feels empty. Ricardo, a man newly divorced after years of marriage, learned this the hard way. He took a woman on 3 perfect dates, deep talks, romantic spots, paying for everything. When he finally leaned in to kiss her, she said he was moving too fast. The truth was the opposite. He had built no tension, no spark. She saw him as a kind friend, not as a man she desired. Days later, she was dating someone else, a man she met on Tinder who had no fear of showing his masculinity from the start. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The lesson is simple. A man cannot hide behind politeness or endless patience. Attraction grows when you show strength and desire without apology. Women don't fall in love with hesitation. They respond to presence, courage, and subtle unpredictability. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, a reward that doesn't arrive on schedule, but at unexpected times. It is the same principle that makes casinos addictive. In relationships, it means showing warmth one moment, then stepping back into your own world the next. A man who balances direct interest with mystery becomes unforgettable. Think of it like fire. Too much would all at once suffocates the flame. Too little and it dies out. The right rhythm adding at the right time keeps it alive. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Wasted time in romance comes from giving without thought, sposing without pause, smothering instead of allowing space. The formula is clear. Direct interest plus unpredictability equals lasting attraction. She must feel that your attention is valuable, not automatic. When she can't predict when or how you'll express romance, her mind stays engaged, searching, imagining. That uncertainty fuels desire. But here's the trap. Many men offer romance as a reaction to rejection instead of a reward for connection. They buy flowers after a fight, plan grand gestures when she pulls away. This only teaches her that drama wins attention. True strength is the opposite. Epictetus reminds us, no man is free who's not master of himself. Mastery means you give romance on your terms, not as payment for her moods. Romance loses its power when men confuse it with a quick fix. One of the biggest traps is reactive romance, trying to win back a woman's warmth with gifts or apologies after conflict. Pablo learned this mistake. After a simple disagreement, he rushed in with flowers, dinners, and weekend trips. At first, it seemed sweet, but soon she realized she could control him. Every tantrum became a ticket to more attention. Months later, he was exhausted, spending money to buy peace, while she lost respect. Seneca reminds us, he who is brave is free. Bravery in love is not about chasing after every mood. It is about standing firm, refusing to reward coldness with desperation. When you give romance as a reaction, you become a puppet. When you give it as a reward for genuine connection, it becomes powerful. Another mistake is calendar romance over the top. Gestures on Valentine's Day, anniversaries, or predictable holidays. Anyone can buy roses on February 14th. It doesn't show thought, only routine. Real romance surprises. A quiet coffee after a long day. A sunset walk because you remembered something she once mentioned. Epictetus taught, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. In love, this means letting your actions reflect genuine presence, not just traditions. The most dangerous mistake is needy romance gestures, born out of fear of losing her. It is the anxious energy that whispers, please don't leave me. Please, love me. Women sense it instantly. And once they do, attraction vanishes. Remember Jose, who spent thousands without earning intimacy? His gestures revealed insecurity, not strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The truth is, you cannot control whether she stays or leaves. But you can control whether your actions come from abundance or scarcity. When romance is offered from strength, it deepens love. When it comes from fear, it suffocates it. Romance should never be bribery. It should never be a cover for weakness. The right gesture at the right time multiplies desire. The wrong gesture at the wrong time destroys it. A man who understands this balance doesn't chase validation. He inspires respect, attraction, and lasting connection. Romance, when used without wisdom, becomes self-destruction. Many men believe that giving more effort, more gifts, more attention will finally win her heart. But the truth is simple. When there is no attraction, romance cannot create it. It only exposes insecurity. Fernando discovered this truth. For weeks, his relationship with Alina felt flat, no fire, no mystery. Then he changed his approach. He focused on his work, replied to her messages, but stopped chasing. Soon, she reached out more, suggested plans, and leaned in. When he finally surprised her with a thoughtful gesture, a sunset at a mountain viewpoint she once mentioned, she fell for him. Why? Because the romance came after desire had been built, not before. Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. A man who thinks from scarcity dyes his actions with desperation. But a man who acts from strength gives color to his presence. Women feel the difference immediately. Consider Jose again, who spent thousands on a trip without earning her affection. Or Miguel, who poured poems into the void. Their mistake wasn't being romantic. It was confusing romance with attraction, Seneca warned. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Without direction, romance drifts into weakness. Romance works only when paired with tension and uncertainty. She must feel she could lose you, that your time and attention are not guaranteed. This isn't manipulation, it's reality. A man with purpose is naturally scarce, and his romance becomes rare and precious. Epictetus put it clearly, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. You cannot control her emotions. You can control your standards, your timing, your actions. The principle is clear. Never be more romantic than she is with you. Romance must be a reward, not a bribe. It must reflect uniqueness, not something any man with money could buy. When it comes from strength, it deepens her respect. When it comes from fear, it erases it. Attraction is built not by words but by actions. Many men lose sight of this truth. They confess love too early, shower women with gestures, and hope that words will create desire. But women do not fall for promises, they respond to behavior. Take Jose again. He told Laura she was special, but his actions screamed desperation. Meanwhile, the man she met at the bar said nothing poetic, yet his calm confidence spoke louder than words. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Women don't want speeches. They want to feel your presence. Consider Marcus, who escaped the friend zone. For months he waited, hoping Andrea would notice him. Then he shifted his behavior. He stopped being available, dated other women, and acted with quiet confidence. Andrea noticed the change. When she leaned in with small gestures of interest, Marcus responded boldly. Within months, they were together and, years later, married. Seneca reminds us. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Marcus prepared by becoming stronger. And when the opportunity appeared, he acted. Now compare Roberto. When Camilla pulled away, he panicked. Flowers, long letters, weekend trips all. Desperate attempts to hold on. But the more he tried, the further she drifted. Why? Because his romance came from need, not strength. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Roberto was not in control. His fear dictated his actions, and Camilla lost respect. The difference is clear. The men who succeed are those who act from abundance, not scarcity. They do not beg for love. They embody it through strength, purpose, and presence. Romance, when given as a reward for genuine connection, multiplies attraction. When given as a bribe for attention, it destroys it. Remember, women don't listen to what you say, they watch how you live. They don't believe confidence declared in words. They believe confidence expressed in silence, in actions, in self-mastery. Attraction grows not through speeches, but through the quiet strength of a man who knows his worth. Romance cannot save a relationship that lacks attraction. Many men believe that more effort, more flowers, more apologies, more grand gestures will reverse the decline. But in truth, once respect is gone, romance accelerates the end. Statistics show that most relationships collapse when a man becomes too romantic at the first sign of her pulling away. Jose learned this when his generosity made him look like a father figure, not a lover. The more he gave, the less she desired him. Seneca warned, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." When your energy is scattered in desperate attempts to please, you lose yourself and with it, her respect. Romance works only when built on attraction, tension, and uncertainty. She must feel you are a man with purpose, not a man seeking permission to exist in her life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." If your ambition is only to keep her, you shrink in her eyes. But if your ambition is to live fully with discipline, work, and self-master, your presence becomes magnetic. Consider Fernando, who created attraction not with constant attention, but with balance. He focused on his work, lived his life, and allowed her to miss him. When he surprised her with a thoughtful gesture timed with crit, moved her heart. Contrast this with Pablo, who used romance reactively after every fight. One built respect. The other built manipulation. The Stoics remind us that freedom comes from mastering the self. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery in love means giving romance on your terms, not as a response to fear. It means creating moments of intimacy from strength, not begging for closeness. Romance, used wisely, becomes a flame that strengthens connection. Used unwisely, it becomes smoke that blinds and suffocates. The man who understands timing turns love into growth. The man who doesn't turns love into loss. Romance is never the foundation of love. It is the reward that comes after attraction is earned. Men who forget this principle end up handing away all their power. Jose thought a luxury trip would buy Laura's heart. But to her, they had always been friends. His grand gesture only confirmed what she already felt. He was desperate, not desirable. In the same night, she gave herself to another man who had built tension in minutes rather than months. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Jose focused on buying her love instead of controlling his own frame. Marcus, on the other hand, escaped the friend zone because he changed. He stopped being endlessly available. He dated other women, not for revenge, but to remember his value. When Andrea noticed his new energy, he didn't explain himself. He simply acted with confidence. When she touched him, he escalated. Within months, they were together. Seneca reminds us, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. Marcus no longer craved her validation. He let her invest instead. Roberto made the opposite mistake. When Camila pulled away, he flooded her with romance letters, flowers, weekend trips. But each act pushed her further because it was fueled by fear. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Roberto was ruled by his anxiety. His neediness suffocated her, and she left. The lesson is clear. Romance does not create attraction. It amplifies what already exists. Without desire, it becomes noise. With desire, it becomes fire. Women don't listen to declarations. They measure your presence, your strength, your discipline. The Stoics remind us to focus on what we can control, our actions, our mindset, our timing. That is the soil where attraction grows. Romance is never the cause of attraction. It is the proof of it. A man who begs for love loses power, while a man who lives with purpose inspires it. Marcus Aurelius said, "Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them." Attraction grows when you live fully, not when you chase. Give romance as a reward for connection, not as a desperate attempt to keep her.